On earlier outings, we have looked now at several different members of the pea family, the important pea family, and we've seen that although they all have the same basic floral blueprint, that pattern is differently tailored in different groups of species, and we've looked at a number of those variations already. Now today, the species we're mainly interested in is black Medick. But before we look at black Medick, it might be useful to look again at what the basic floral blueprint of the pea family flower actually is by examining a flower where the parts are larger and easier to identify without the help of a hand lens. So this is laburnum, which comes to us from Central and Southern Europe and is familiar to most people in gardens, and very occasionally as a garden escape. The flower is zygomorphic, which means that not only is it bilaterally symmetrical, but it faces sideways, which means that the flower controls in advance the direction from which a visiting insect lands on the flower. There are 5 petals, arranged in a very particular way. This upright petal at the top, the largest of the 5, is known as the flag petal, and its main function is to act as a signpost in order to attract the attention of the honeybees and bumblebees and other insects that pollinate the flowers. And notice the prominent nectar guides which converge on the throat of the flower, indicating that this is where the visiting insect should insert its proboscis or tongue to access the nectar. On either side below that are 2 wing petals that provide a landing pad for visiting insects, and at the base these are locked into the keel, which is formed by the remaining 2 petals at the bottom of the flower, the margins of which are lightly fused together. Inside the keel are the 10 stamens, 5 long and 5 shorter, whose filaments are fused and which dehisce or split to release their pollen into the tip of the keel before the flower opens fully. I'll take away the wing petals to show you the keel, and with a needle I can crudely simulate the effect of an alighting bee or other insect, which will cause the pollen inside the keel to be extruded through a hole at the tip of the keel and deposited on the visitor's underside. And so here we have black Medick with its tiny flowers in clusters so that they can be seen from a distance by potential pollinators, but individually so tiny that it's very difficult to see all of the detail in what is a marvel of design and every bit as beautiful as laburnum. Black Medick is one of several shamrock lookalikes, but if you look carefully at the leaves, you'll see that at the tip of each leaflet is a little tooth, which makes it possible to distinguish black Medick from all the other shamrock contenders. Here in black Medick, the flag petal is proportionately larger than usual, folded down the middle and projecting forward as an awning over the rest of the flower. As in firs, the floral mechanism here is explosive, but more refined. The upper edges of the keel cohere together, but what prevents the tensed tube of stamens inside the keel from bursting out is a pair of deep pouch-like folds projecting from the upper edges of the keel petals, which lock into a pair of matching knuckles on the upper edges of the wing petals, firmly anchoring the wings to the keel. The pressure of the bee on the flower dislodges the locked folds, causing the stamen tube to catapult upwards. But unlike firs, it doesn't reset itself when the bee leaves. The flower can only do this once. The flowers attract many diligent visitors, particularly bees, including honeybees, surprisingly perhaps in view of the exceedingly minute size of the flowers, as well as lots of different flies, and they are also regularly frequented by butterflies. Notice the confidence and precision with which this hoverfly approaches the flower and inserts its proboscis to access the nectar, in spite of the constant swaying of the flower heads in the breeze. When an insect arrives, its body first comes in contact with the stigma, which can pick up any pollen it may be carrying, an instant before the anthers are released from the keel and shower the visitor with a new dusting of pollen.